Recently, there's been an explosion of monster tamers, creature collectors, or just plain old Pokemon-like games hitting the market. And obviously, not all of them are going to be good. And buying all of them to try yourself would be way too expensive and time-consuming.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Even back during Gen 1 Pokemon fever, there were companies interested in the Pokemon pie, but never would I have guessed that one of these companies would be Scholastic. And I don't just mean their books. This is Animorphs on the Game Boy Color. If you don't know about Animorphs, you didn't grow up in the US in the late 90s and early 2000s. This massive book series about kids who can turn into animals was everywhere, and basically had a dedicated section in every elementary school library. So sure enough, you get a big Scholastic logo when you boot up the game, though it devolves into just explosions. Starting the game up, I am immediately reminded that Animorphs is in fact not just about kids who can turn into animals, but rather it's about a secret alien infiltration of Earth by a parasitic slug race of aliens capable of mind control. Kids being able to turn into animals is a secondary feature. But anyway, in this game you walk around an overworld and collect animals to morph into the same way you would catch a Pokemon, by battling them and taming them and adding their form to your collection. But of course you can't battle animals as a human. Oh no 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 no. First, you have to morph into an animal. I beat up a goat as a mouse? And I remember when people were always comparing Pokemon to dog fighting. Here we're literally two dogs fighting. And of course, there's a pet store with illegal pets, and a zoo, and a circus. This way you're able to collect forms of actually cool animals. This guy needs me to hunt down a snake that escaped. Ooh, snake defeated, but it's still just wiggling around as if it didn't do anything. Okay, cool, I guess that worked. Oh, what is that? Oh, it's an alien! So while you're able to see and approach animals in the overworld as you want, aliens act as your random encounter battles, and they are tough! I say, as if the battles aren't literally just mashing A as fast as possible. Okay, see, my main issue with this game is that the strategy in battle isn't about type matchups or what moves you teach your Mon, rather it's just about what morphs you currently have in your roster. Every animal form has 4 attacks. Some raise defense or evasiveness, but that evasiveness can raise so much, so quick, that I literally went more than 20 turns where nothing happened because we both just kept missing each other. For once, I am thankful that there's no battle animations or set amount of time that the text has to be on screen like in Pokemon, so you really can just mash A as fast as possible. I honestly feel like a game like this would be better with an overworld auto battle in a cartoon dust cloud kind of thing, because that's what this feels like. Rapid-fire, chance-based chaos with just a hint of strategy. One strategy I find works really well is choosing the monkey and using climb every couple of turns, and while in the climbed state, just using throw over and over again. The most interesting part of the game is just the soft puzzle element of the overworld. You need certain morphs to do certain things, like be a snake to slither through cracks in the wall, be a fish to swim, and things like that. Why is the monkey blue and so fast? Why is the skunk venomous? Alright, moving on. This is Coromon. It just came out recently, actually. It says it's a modern take on the classic monster taming genre, and one look at it, oh, this pixel art is incredible! I've played quite a few Pokemon-like games over the years, and this one feels the best. Like, just imagine Pokemon and you're already 3/4 of the way to getting the whole idea of this game. So you just moved out of your mom's house to become a battle researcher for a Coromon research lab, and you go around battling and catching Coromon and helping people in little side quests along the way. The gameplay loop of battling, exploring, and side questing is a bit more interesting and more satisfying than just getting 8 badges in my opinion, but perhaps that's just because it's different so it feels fresher. The battles are a good pace with decent battle animation, and the sprite art! Honestly, there's not much for me to say here. It's a very solid and well put together Pokemon-like game with a few more quality of life improvements over Pokemon even, like being able to change movesets easily, fruit trees water themselves, shinies being significantly more common and actually having a gameplay impact. I actually have a lot that I like about this. Each Coromon has a standard, potent, and perfect variation, and on top of being a different color, it just means it levels up better. While I haven't beaten it yet, at this point in the game, there's no EXP share, but a fainted Coromon Pokemon still gains experience as if they were in the fight, which is a pretty good balance, IMO. And the protagonist is a young adult who speaks and has outfits. I've only played the first 4 hours for this brief review, but I'm going to play the rest on my own time absolutely, which should tell you a lot about how much I like it. I'm a PokeTuber, and I dropped more than a few Pokemon games without even finishing the story, but this is holding my interest well enough. That said, gripes. There's only 114 Coromon, and despite the low number, a lot of them are kind of repeated ideas. There's just so many just blobs and elementals, and many of the evolutions feel unneeded. Like, yeah, it's bigger. Wow. I mean, there's Pokemon who do that too, but they are examples of the meh Pokemon evolutions, rather than something to strive for. Plus, there's no grass or plant type at all, and the type system falls short of being complex. What's weak to cut? Oh, electric, because you cut wires? Why is normal weak against poison? That means the early game B Coromon is weak to its own poison. Plus, no Coromon can have more than one type, and they can only be 7 of the 13 types, as the other types are reserved for moves only. Which, in and of itself, is a fine idea, but ultimately I think the system is a tad simple, and most of the monster designs themselves are a tad simple and uninspired. But that doesn't mean it's bad by any means. It's still one of the best monster tamers I've played. So, let's do something significantly different next. Something less strictly Pokemon-like, and more so in the spirit of Pokemon. What do you get when you cross the monster-catching, collecting, and battling aspect of Pokemon and throw it into a magical world where they all talk like Digimon, and are all based on fairy tales, and also the game isn't out yet and it's just a Kickstarter demo? You get Grimmlins Tale. Oh look, it's also Breath of the Wild. In Grimmlins Tale, you catch fairy tale monsters by saving them from their pre-written fate, i.e. the fairy tales. And they evolve and have a big type chart, pun names. It's definitely Pokemon-like. It's just that the battling is all in real time and on the overworld for the most part, and you can have all of your mon at once. It's chaos! But they do all have auto attacks. You could very well treat it as an auto battler, but to get better results, you can give them commands on timed abilities. You switch which one you're commanding, and they each have special abilities. And you can also tell them who to attack, or if instead they should focus on defending you. Oh yeah, because the way you lose in this game is you die. The other Gremlins are attacking you. And in the, what are essentially trainer battles, you win when you take out the other trainer. Because when a Gremlin faints, they are put on a timer to wake up again and continue fighting. You need to take down the Not a Heartless here to finish the battle, but meanwhile their own Gremlins are protecting them and trying to get at you. But this doesn't mean you're helpless, because you get involved too. By punching. Just imagining the first movie where Ash tries to punch Mewtwo and ouch. Here you can actually do it. The biggest issue I have is that punch is F on the keyboard and moving your dude around is WASD and moving the camera is the mouse, so it's a lot harder than it should be. But I cannot stress this enough. This is barely an alpha demo. This is a Kickstarter demo to get the idea of the game across. It's not a real reflection of its final quality, which is good because it looks like this. The idea here, though, I really like it. It's a 3D collectathon with catchable and trainable monsters you also battle with and riding them expands your platforming ability, and the eventual controller support will help so much with all of my issues. Also, the 3 little piggies drive mechs, and the old woman who lives in a shoe is a slug, and this is my favorite design in the early game. But look at this Pinocchio gremlin! Look at that! Top tier design! Based on when this video gets published, there are a few days to a week left on their Kickstarter, and while it's funded, I would love to see it reach some stretch goals, as there's a lot of really cool ideas here. I'll put a link in the description, but this is not a sponsor. Just a really cool game idea that needs some more love. Now then, there are so many Pokemon likes on mobile. So maybe the roulette wheel of whichever of the 50+ games I installed on my tablet gets clicked on first will be kind to me. Ultramon Fight. Collect and train the Ultramon and fight with others from all over the world. Pretty bog standard. I like that the second promotional image says fully functional interface. Like, I would hope so. Is this the level of games I'm stooping to? Where the menus work is a selling point? Oh well, let's start it. Oh, this feels a bit inappropriate. You clearly aren't allowed to do this.
Welcome to the world of Pokemon.
Can I really call this a Pokemon-like when it's
home to Pokemon.
It's Pikachu!
Alright, that animation was actually pretty good.
Well, are you a boy or a girl?
Well, there's only one option now, ain't there?
Are you ready?
Zhao Mao. With the professor, they at least tried. Okay, I actually really like this art style. Whoever fan art they're using is pretty good. It's a little too obvious who the game makers are catering to. Ew. Pikemon fighting is a battle between Pokemons. Well, the bubble effect looks nice.
Look at all that meat!
Oh, and here's that fully functional interface. Alright, so absolutely no indication of this being a literal ripoff on the store page, which is smart, I suppose. If they get reported and somebody with authority checks it out, they might just look at the store page and say, nah, it's good. Monster Legends. 50 million downloads! A sign of quality. And microtransactions for sure. And I can already tell they put a lot of thought into their monster designs. I mean, an on-fire monkey that turns into an on-fire gorilla. You can't get much more original than just an animal with an elemental power thrown on it, now can you? Pandolph. Pandolph, please don't move like that. It's terrible for your spine. I can see your seams. Oh, it's going to be one of these. These timers are short for now, but they will grow to days.
Well, you could always give us money to speed it up.
Fire Sore. I haven't even been playing this for 5 minutes, and I already have to sit here and wait. I mean, yes, Greenasaur is cute at least. What? It just evolves! What's the point of the early one? Oh no, the Monstergram. Rar? Beefcake. Bloom Skips. Jin. Clever name. Wolf. Kami. I make fun of it, but like Talonflame exists. Teddy Fear. Or is it Teddy Fair? How many are there? I can tell most of them have like over a dozen other monsters that use the same basic body, just with different elements thrown on them, so that they don't have to animate as much. But how many have they done? Over 1,000. Nice. I guess. Alright, battles. How do I get to that? Oh, there he is! Harflambe! That's not its name, it's probably just Firerilla or something like that. Alright though, battle system. The type chart is a ring because anything else would be too complicated for hardcore mobile game players. Okay, 4 moves, eventually anyway. Now hang on, that was a perfect game where I had to do explicitly what it told me since it's the tutorial, and it's 2 out of 3 stars. That is a disgusting egg. Did you lay that, Pandolph? Alright, first boss time, and I at least want to see Florambe before calling it. No. Difficulty spike, of course. Gotta go spend money. No, I guess I hit a wall. I gotta wait 30 minutes to grow food, level up one of the monsters, or convert one kind of currency into another kind of currency, and then into another kind of currency, and just blah. These games are not worth your time. They just sell your information and charge you money to do almost nothing. I'm sorry, Firerilla. We shall not meet. You were too hot for me anyway.